times roll again with Shirley and Lee.
One of rock's most legendary duos, their time in the spotlight was more or less gone by their early 20s, but during their idyllic teenage years, they were a constant presence on the charts, bringing a fresh viewpoint to the New Orleans rock sound of the 50s. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Shirley and Lee. Before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push the notification bell to be sure you won't miss on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Shirley Goodman and Leonard Lee were born 10 days apart in late June 1936. At the age of 15, Goodman and Lee, along with neighborhood friends, begged local recording studio owner Cosimo Matassa to let them record a song not for potential release, but just for the experience and to have a song they could play. He promised them that if they could give him the $2 for the charges, he would record them, and when they returned some time later with the money, he felt forced to keep his commitment despite his desire to postpone it. When they finished their song and received their record, he thought it was the end of it, but while looking for a tape to erase for a session with Aladdin Records, he came across the kids' efforts, which impressed Aladdin's owner Eddie Mesner, who was particularly interested in Lee, who wrote the song, and Goodman, whose off-key soprano voice cut through speakers. Tracking them down and signing the two, who were barely friends, to a record contract, they entered the studio shortly after Goodman turned 16 and days before Lee would reach that milestone himself, re-recording the song they'd done with their friends, I'm Gone, this time with a band led by Dave Bartholomew, who produced the session.
As though you've gone far away.
When the song peaked at number 2 on the national charts, they cemented their place as rock's top duet for the next 4 years or more. Ironically, it was the reverse side, which they've written together and suggested they were in a relationship for the sake of the song, that gave Aladdin their selling point and dubbed them the sweethearts of the blues. Over the following 2 years, their imagined tale as a couple, splitting up and reuniting, was embellished with each new release, giving them credit for creating the first continuing rock opera. Since the duo penned the songs themselves and were boosted by the cream of New Orleans session musicians, aside from regional bestsellers, it wasn't until they shifted their focus to broader themes that they re-entered the national consciousness in a big way, with 3 unrelated songs all featuring the word good in the title, the most famous of which, Let the Good Times Roll, became a generational rock anthem.
Rock me all night long. Come on, baby, let the...
They distinguished themselves from those who sang in unison, such as label mates Gene and Eunice, by almost constantly switching off voices, while Goodman's piercing soprano, which seldom stayed in pitch, gave them an instantly distinctive sound that audiences found appealing. With Lee's more soulful baritone and dependably outstanding songwriting, their work enabled Aladdin Records stay profitable in the rock industry for most of the decade. By the late 50s, they had left the label and gone to Warwick Records, where they were persuaded to re-record their biggest hit, which charted again in its new rendition in 1960, booking it by 2 other pop chart entries that demonstrated they still had appeal. Though both were prone to gaining weight and no longer looked like the same innocent kids from just a few years before, they then went to Imperial Records, where they reconnected with Dave Bartholomew, the producer of their debut, for the first time in a decade. However, the market was changing too rapidly for them to stay up, and the duo soon parted ways. Goodman relocated to Los Angeles and attempted to find another male vocal partner to relive the enchantment of the past, but none of the combinations, including one with lowrider mainstay Brenton Wood under the name Alfred Smith, worked out. She had much more success as a backing singer for other rock acts by the late 60s and early 70s, with her 2 most notable sessions being for Dr. John on his Immortal, Grizz album from 1968, and the Rolling Stones classic, Exile on Main Street, on both of which her shrill soprano can be heard through the mire. Shirley and Lee reunited for one massive rock and roll revival show at Madison Square Garden in 1972, while Goodman worked as a secretary at a record company. In the mid-70s, Sylvia Robinson, singer, guitarist, owner of All Platinum Records and one half of the other big 50s duos Mickey and Sylvia, called Goodman and asked if she'd be interested in adding her voice to a nascent disco cut she was working on with male vocalist Jason Alvarez. The ensuing smash Shame 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 sent Goodman back to the top of the R&B charts for the first time in 18 years, sparking a brief resurgence in which she scored another minor success before packing it in once more.
Shame on you, girl, if you can't dance to
Leonard Lee passed away of a heart attack in 1976 at the age of 41, while Goodman had a stroke in the 90s and passed away in her hometown of New Orleans at the age of 69 in 2005. Shirley and Lee didn't intend to pursue a career in music when they scrounged together the $2 with their pals. But with two of the most distinct and unmistakable voices of their age, they ended up with a successful career and a sacred position in 50s rock and roll. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song from Shirley and Lee?